another training camp special of the rundown. We are out here at training camp for one of the last days. Tomorrow they are up against the Cardinals here at training camp, and they're going to be, having a joint practice with them, getting ready for their next preseason game this Saturday. And what we're seeing out here at training camp is something that not really anybody wanted to see, and this is going to be kind of a hard conversation because Bo Nix has not had the best camp here so far, and that's not saying anything right away. That's not anything to get scared about. This is nothing huge. It's just an observation that we can all see right now that Bo Nix is not performing as well as you expect him to in training camp, and specifically in the most recent preseason game. Now, this is kind of what I talked about yesterday on the rundown as well. The preseason game in which the Broncos went to Santa Clara to take on the 49ers. Bo Nix did not play very well in that game. Now, that's no problem. It's just the preseason. We can't get too ahead of ourselves because you think about where the Broncos could be at the end of this season, and I honestly firmly believe that there is a chance that this team could go to the Super Bowl. Now, go to the Super Bowl is a lofty goal. They could do it. So are we really going to be talking about the first preseason game if they're in the Super Bowl in January? No, we're not. But what we can see right now is Bo Nix not playing very well in the first preseason game, going 6 for 11 with 31 yards. That's not what you want to see. But that kind of stuff follows into what we're seeing here at Dove Valley. So we are seeing Bo Nix inside these walls, not playing to his highest level and not playing at the level that we saw him play at last season. Now, there's a few things. In the 7-on-7 formats, what I've seen in there is a lot of great completions, a lot of great plays, all of that great stuff that you want to see when it's 7-on-7. But as soon as it moves to a real 11-on-11, real play calling, all of that, it goes away for Bo Nix. It really has gone away. I'm seeing a lot of incompletions. I'm seeing a lot of drop passes. I'm seeing a lot of maybe broken plays is maybe the best way to put it, but I'm not seeing the same kind of success that we saw in the regular season last year, just in training camp right here. And part of that could be they're trying new plays. This is what training camp is for. They're seeing what works and what doesn't. And that's a very good reason as to why it may not be as successful this year. And that would be fair to see why Bo Nix isn't performing that well. But what also goes with this, and with his performance, you are seeing an outstanding performance from another quarterback in the same room in Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham has had an incredible camp so far. And again, with his preseason game numbers, he went 14 for 15, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. Those are incredible stats. And again, like I said yesterday, if you tuned into the show, Jarrett Stidham knows where he is, but what he's doing is building a resume, building film on him. And maybe that's film that he can give to Sean Payton. Maybe it's him being comfortable with where he's at. But what I'm seeing from Jarrett Stidham and what I could see from maybe if I could see inside of his mind, he might be building a resume and building tape to go send to another team so that other teams can say, maybe this is the kind of guy we want on our roster. Maybe this is the kind of guy who needs another chance at a starting position. And that wouldn't be ridiculous again for Jarrett Stidham. I mean, you're a backup QB. But what he has done here in Denver right now is he's embraced his role of being a backup QB. And he's played very successfully in training camp. He has been very successful. His camp has been outstanding. A stark contrast from how Bo Nix has looked. I mean, yesterday we saw Troy Franklin, easy post down the middle, burned his receiver, and a perfect pass into his arms. Looks like anybody could have caught that ball if they had as much wide open space as Troy Franklin had. But the perfect ball was thrown from Jarrett Stidham. And then you see another great ball, a 50-50 ball, thrown up to Devon Bailey, where he ends up coming down with it. And that's as much good as it is for Devon Bailey as it is for Jarrett Stidham. So both of those guys, Troy Franklin and Devon Bailey, were finding success with Jarrett Stidham passing the ball. Stidham was playing at his highest level I've seen him play at, honestly, in both the preseason game on Saturday and yesterday. It was incredible to watch. He's been incredibly successful in training camp, and it's much different than how Bo Nix has been looking so far. And again, these are not it's big fires that need to be put out right away. These maybe could be the smallest sign of a sophomore slump, but a sophomore slump can happen. You're going to look at it as anything. Look at it as somebody who's already secured a starting position as the QB1 and the franchise QB, and maybe doesn't need to take it as serious when it comes to training camp. And that doesn't seem like Bo Nix's mentality at all, but that could be what we're seeing. We're just seeing somebody who's going through the motions rather than trying to show out and shine so that he can get a QB1 position like we saw him have to do last season. So it is very different. We're not having to see Bo Nix fight for a QB1 position. We're just seeing him have to secure it and keep it. And it's pretty easy to keep when you're up against Jarrett Stidham, even though Jarrett Stidham, again, has had an incredible camp. Now, I want to move on because yesterday there were some great questions that were asked to both the Broncos front office and coaches in Sean Payton and some of the players in Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton. Kay Adams came to training camp yesterday and asked a lot of great questions, both to Bo Nix and to Sean Payton, and then PS2 as well. She was getting everybody there, but there was a lot of talk about the Super Bowl chase because, as we know, Sean Payton has made it very clear that the Super Bowl chase is something we can feel comfortable talking about here in the Mile High City. So Sean Payton wants the team to feel comfortable, just to preface, he wants the team to feel comfortable in winning the Super Bowl, but the first goal on his plate right now is to win the division. That's the main goal. And he made sure to say that yesterday, too. The first goal is to win the division. But then when asked more about the Super Bowl and how they can get off to a better start and how they can make themselves more successful in their chase for this ring, he said, quote, I would say for us, more specifically, is starting fast this year. They need to start fast last year. As you remember, 2 years ago, they didn't start well at all. Of course, Russell Wilson was here, so how can you expect them to start very well at all? And then a year ago, they started 0-2. Those are both slow starts. And then also last year, you remember they kind of skidded towards the end. They ended up getting a big win against the Chiefs late in the season, in the last game of the season, to secure a playoff spot. But then before that, they had lost 2 games in a row. Another one of those games that they lost, or one of those games that they lost, was against the Bengals, which was one of the best games I had seen all season. But unfortunately, it ended up being a loss for the Broncos. So those kind of things held them back from being a higher seed, winning the division. All of those things held them back.
Yeah, that's fine.
But this season, if they can start fast, clearly Sean Payton believes that this team can go far and can make a Super Bowl push and can win the division. So if those are really the goals, then the Broncos need to be taking training camp as serious as possible, getting all of their reps in, learning their plays, making sure that they are 100% ready to go. Because if getting out and getting out of the gates early is really the goal, they need to be ready to do so. They need to be ready to jump however high Sean Payton says. Now, another person Kay Adams talked to, especially about the Super Bowl chase, was Bo Nix. And Bo Nix was very quick and easy with his response. He said the Super Bowl kind of goes without having to say it. You shouldn't have to say that you want to win a Super Bowl if you're in the NFL. There is no player that I can imagine, that I can think of, that is proud of having a winning record and then losing in the wild card round. There's no player I could ever imagine being happy with that. Now, maybe there's a different scenario if it's the Broncos, who haven't been in the playoffs in 10 years, haven't had a winning record in 9 years, and you get a new rookie quarterback and you go to the playoffs. The fans can be happy for that because that means you got a bright new future. But if the players are really happy, if the players think that that was a successful season and they had done everything that they had wanted to, I would be a little bit disappointed. I would. If you, as a player, are excited to lose in the first round of the playoffs, the wild card round, then you should not be in the NFL. But the good thing for the Broncos and Broncos fans is that there doesn't seem to be any players who have that mentality, especially not Bo Nix. With him saying it kind of goes without having to say it, it proves everything I just said, that is nobody on this team. Because as we know about Bo Nix, he instills a mentality into the rest of his team that he expects them to follow. He's a leader, first and foremost. So him going out there, the Super Bowl should be something that we have to say we want to do. Because of course they want to do it. They're in the NFL. Why would you go to the NFL? Why would you work so hard all the way here if you're not planning on winning a Super Bowl? And there were more conversations that came out with Bo Nix and Kay Adams yesterday, but that one really stuck out to me. Now, another one that really stuck out was when she was talking about the recent comments from Sean Payton saying that Bo Nix could be a top 5 quarterback within the next 1 to 2 years. Now, that's a lofty goal for Sean Payton. It's a goal that I really believe that Bo Nix can achieve. It's something that it shouldn't be too insane to think about. Bo Nix had an incredible rookie season and could be a top 5 quarterback if his career continues to trend upwards. But when he say, it's almost like he didn't like the question. It's almost like he didn't want to answer it. He almost cut it off because it was a question meant for Portland Sutton, who was sitting right next to him. He almost cut her off and said something along the lines of, look, everybody wants their coach to respect them like that, but my teammates are doing this for me along those lines. I don't have the actual quote written down, but he stopped her in his tracks and said that he does not want to talk about being a top 5 quarterback. He almost did a non-answer. Like, he stopped her, said, it's great that my coach thinks this way about me, but let's talk about something else. It was a non-answer. That's kind of strange. It's almost like he's uncomfortable by Sean Payton saying that he could be a top 5 quarterback in the league. Now, again, Bo Nix has always come off as one of those guys who really wants to be team first. He doesn't want all the glory for himself. He wants to go out there and win a Super Bowl and cheer with his team. He doesn't want all the glory for himself. So there is a bit of a reason that you could see him react like this, but it's still strange when he's getting questioned about, your coach thinks of you so highly, and he almost doesn't want to answer it. It was an oddly, slightly uncomfortable interview, and if you go back and you watch it, there are parts of it on Kay Adams' channel. It was great. The whole interview was great overall, but that part of it really stuck out because it's almost like he doesn't like being talked about as a top 5 quarterback. He doesn't want that cross to bear. He doesn't want that. He wants to go out there and win. And if that comes with it, if being a top 5 quarterback comes with it, then that's great. But first and foremost, we're out here to win. And that's what Bo Nix has been preaching this entire time. So all in all, if I can wrap it up, if there is any doubt going into next season, it should be alleviated by Bo Nix. Around Bo Nix, if there's any doubt, his camp has not been great overall, but that shouldn't be worrisome. You should not be worried if he's going to have a sophomore slump. It happens, and if it does, guarantee he'll still be the starter next season. But overall, Bo Nix, his head is exactly where it's always been at, and that's it.
I do what I love what I do. Second nature to put it